24 hours ago, thousands of people were beginning to gather along the palm tree-lined waterfront there to celebrate France's National Day, le 14 juillet. It was to become the scene of one of the most horrific attacks in recent memory, France's third in the space of 18 months. Well, 84 people are now known to have been killed after the 31-year-old Tunisian-born French national drove his truck at high speed through the crowds for 2 kilometers, apparently zigzagging in order to inflict maximum damage. Well, at least 10 of those killed were children or teenagers. Over 200 others were injured, and around 50 of them now are reported to be fighting for their lives. The French President, François Hollande, said the attack was of an undeniable terrorist nature. And among the dead were French, American, Armenian, German, Moroccan, Russian, Swiss, Tunisian and Ukrainian nationals. Well, the white truck that was used for that attack in Nice was this afternoon towed away from the scene. Well, French prosecutors say the man who rammed that truck into the crowds, who's been named as Mohamed Lahouayesh Bouhlel, was totally unknown to the intelligence services and that he had never been flagged up before for any signs of radicalization.
The investigation seeks to determine first the conditions under which the assailant was able to obtain the weapon he used and the truck that he utilized for his crimes. It will seek to determine if he had accomplices. It will also seek to determine if Mohamed Bouhlel had links to Islamic terrorist organizations. I will remind you that yesterday's attack has not yet been claimed. However, I must say that this type of attack is in line with killings of those terrorist organizations, especially when they call on people to carry out such attacks in their videos.
And that was the Paris anti-terrorism prosecutor, François Moulin, speaking there. Well, I'm joined here in the studio by our very own Delano de Souza, who's been following the investigation. Delano, what more are we able to ascertain about the profile and the identity of the attacker?
Okay, what we do know, Tom, is Mohamed Bouhlel was a 31-year-old Tunisian-born man. He was born in the city, not far from the city of Sousse in Tunisia. He had been living legally here in France for the past few years. We still don't know when exactly he arrived in this country. Now, when I say he was living legally here in France, I mean he had a residence permit and was not a French citizen. He was married with 3 children, but had separated from his wife. The ex-wife, his ex-wife, was taken into custody at 11 a.m. this morning, French time. Now, Mohamed Bouhlel was not a known jihadist. This has been confirmed by the Paris prosecutor, François Moulin, who you just heard speaking earlier. Now, neighbors said he wasn't overly religious. He'd do things like break his fast early during Ramadan. One neighbor actually said she had concerns about him because he would give her 2 daughters the eye. But he did appear, while he didn't appear to be radical from the outside, he did have run-ins with law enforcement. He was known for assault and theft between 2010 and 2016. This March, he was sentenced by a court in Nice to a 6-month prison sentence for an assault back in January of this year. Now, these are essentially petty crimes here in France, which means he wasn't known to anti-terror authorities, therefore he was not being tracked.
Okay, so he had a track record, he was known to the authorities, but he wasn't regarded as being sufficiently dangerous.
He wasn't a jihadist, essentially.
Okay. Tell us a little bit more about the vehicle he used. We just saw pictures of it being towed away from the scene. What do we know about it? Was it his truck?
No, it wasn't his truck, Thomas. Mohamed Bouhlel worked as a delivery man, essentially a truck driver. And because of the nature of his job, he did have a license, a permit, if you will, to drive a heavy-duty truck. What we do know about the white truck, as we said, it was rented. It was a 19-ton refrigerated truck. It was picked up by Mohamed Bouhlel, who arrived on bike to pick up the truck at 9:34 on Thursday morning. That's the 14th of July, the day the attack happened. The truck then headed west to the west of the city and only reappeared at 10:30 p.m. local time, just before going on this rampage down the Promenade des Anglais. Now, while the truck was ramming into spectators who were watching the firework display, it did have an altercation with the police. Mohamed Bouhlel exchanged fire with 3 officers. Unfortunately, they were not able to stop him, and the truck continued down its path for a further 300 100 meters. Now, what investigators have found from that truck is one automatic pistol, bullets, cartridges. Investigators also found a second fake automatic weapon, as well as replica AK-47s and one grenade. What he wanted to do with fake weapons, I'm not sure. Police also did find a cell phone in the truck, which they are going through as we speak, as well as identity documents and a bank card. Now, forensics experts are looking for prints on these, the weapons, the real and the fake ones, which were found, because they're looking for potential accomplices. According to the prosecutor, authorities in Nice raided 2 locations in the city this Friday. They have seized from the locations documents, phones, and computers, which they are obviously combing through, trying to piece together any links to a terrorist organization.
Okay, so the key is to find out who he knew and what might have inspired him as being the next priorities. Thank you for that, Delano D'Souza.